I just got my black belt. I'm pretty excited about that.
I know, Jiu-Jitsu. Donald
Jiu-jitsu.
Cerrone, long time come.
Right.
Long time come. He's been overtrained 15 years.
It's just putting on the gi. I don't get into it that much. So
Well, the
cool.
gi's problematic. The gi's problematic.
It was cool. It totally caught me off guard, and I had no idea it was coming. So I was like, oh wow, cool.
People get so hung up on that goddamn gi. I'm a big fan of the gi. I have a black belt in the gi. I don't think there's anything wrong with the gi, but I think people are too fucking connected to an article of clothing, and they're doing it for one reason. One reason. This is the only reason.
To get a
other
black
than
belt.
tradition. Because the guys with the gi know how to use that fucking gi.
God,
they know
do
how to
they.
hold those collars. They know how to grab those sleeves. They know how to control your ass in a way they cannot do when you're slippery. So if you guys go in there MMA style and you're wearing shorts and he's wearing shorts, it is a completely different ballgame.
Oh, yeah.
And no one wants to admit that. This
Well, I
is
do every time I go rolling a gi. I said, hey man, if you want to take a collar choke, go ahead. You can have it. I don't even know how to defend himself. If you want to win by that, go ahead. You can
Go ahead, Ezekiel the shit out of me.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Listen, it's great if you get in a fight with a dude with a winter coat. You know?
Sure.
Like Jimmy Pedro is probably the last guy in the world you didn't want to get in a fight with if you have a winter coat. You know, Olympic gold medalist, judo dude's going to fucking drop you on your head. That's the word. But
So funny story. You talk about Olympic gold medal judo. My best friend Eric Bonenkamp and I, this is before I started fighting, got into a street fight down in Colorado Springs.
oh, Jesus.
And the guy had his judo jacket on, right? And we were like, yeah, whatever, fucking, we started a fight with him. This motherfucker, I don't know, is the Uchimatas out with it when they throw you?
There's a couple of those.
Holy shit. He threw my buddy through the fucking plate glass window.
Oh, shit.
Did the mic drop and walked off. And I just had to stand there like, holy fuck.
He threw him through a plate
Through
glass
a plate
window?
downtown Colorado Springs, Colorado. Like we were down in the bar district. Fight started. Not even the dude just was like, whatever. My buddy came at him. He just grabbed him and fucking threw him through the window. And I was like, you win.
Well, you know, one of the things that I
You win.
recognize really early on in MMA is there's certain guys, there's just giant levels of shit, right? Like we're seeing that with Damian Maia, right? We
Right.
saw that in Damian Maia fight with Carlos Condit. There's levels of this jiu-jitsu. And Damian Maia's got that Hickson Gracie style,
Heavy,
just
real heavy,
smush jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
And it's just perfect technically, just perfect. Everything he does is perfect. Well, there's like when Karo Parisian first fought in the UFC, I remember going, oh, okay, I just haven't seen this level yet.
Right.
Like, this motherfucker's tossing people. He would get that, Karo Parisian in his early days would get that overhook. He would get that overhook, and he would bump you and
launch
fucking
you.
send you flying. And everybody went flying. Karo threw everybody.
He came down to Jackson's. He threw me.
He throws everybody.
And talk about like a morale killer.
Yeah.
You get thrown in front of millions of people, you're like, oh, fuck.
And he throws you perfect.
Yeah.
You know, he is Gene LaBelle, Gokar Kavician. You know, it's like that whole fucking lineage of judo is very strong. That Hayastan grappling, that's very, very strong lineage of judo. They have strong judo, man. And you know, and that's where Rhonda came from. She spent a lot of her time there as well. Under judo, like Judo Jean. Judo Jean's like always at her fights,
Yeah.
you know?
Is she coming back?
You got to talk to her, brother. I haven't talked to her. You know?
I haven't either. I don't have the direct line to Rhonda.
I always feel weird, like when someone loses a fight. Like if I reach out to them, I just always feel weird. You know, I always feel like I don't want to. If I see someone in
Look,
person.
Joe, I'm 4-1 on you, buddy. Come on,
Give me
just-
another one, bro.
You step your motherfucking game up, brother.
Yeah, but I ate tobacco and smoked
That's right,
weed.
that's right, that's true.
We're probably really close. this one's done. I'll move on to number
We're going
3.
in. All right.
But
All right.
like levels of like, you know, you see levels of everything in sport, and I think that's one of the things you're showing, man. I think you're showing a level of kickboxing that's a very fucking when you're hitting those kind of combinations, man.
Now I believe in my wrestling. You know, that's what, I think that's the key.
Big key in the Cote fight and in the Rick Story fight. You took both those guys down, and I think they were probably like, "What?"
Yeah, what the fuck? But I mean, the confidence in my takedown defense is allowing me to really open up, and believing in myself is really, like I said, when I reinvented myself. You know, I just started like when someone comes into the gym, I'm fucking you up.
Right.
When you come down, Jazz, I'm beating your motherfucking ass. Like
I understand.
so, it's just
Except the fact that you're not sparring.
yeah. But anymore.
Back in the day.
Back in the day. Well, even
Where the
I mean, you come
mentality
in,
comes
you come
from.
in, and we do MMA rounds. I'm fucking you up.
Right.
Yeah, and I just need to like somehow figure out how do I translate that into fight night because so many emotions. this last fight was the worst I've ever felt in my whole life. You know, I talked about that with Megan after the fight. I had the worst headache and was like legitimately sick all day before this last fight. And you know, Greg Jackson's like, Cowboy, this is what you train for every day. This is to beat somebody on your worst is what you have to be prepared for, you know? And fuck, it was just warming up. I didn't feel it. It wasn't until we started walking out that I was like, fucking Cowboy, let's find the motherfucking gear, let's go, you know, and had to get it.
I think there's a legit question that I asked you in the last podcast. I said, have you ever talked to a mental coach? You ever work with a mental coach?
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck no. I just go out there and kick some ass. Eating pussy.
Eating pussy and kicking ass. That's it.
Which I think is very admirable and it's fun. But I think you're at this there's this crust of the elite right now. And you're at that crust. And I think in that top echelon, when you get up there with the best of the best, I don't think there's any room for potential. I think it all should be played out. You should have realized your potential as much as possible by the time you got there. And I think a factor in that is mindset. And I don't think it's just being tough and going out there and kicking ass because you've already got that down to a science. That's you. I think there are some strategies and there are also some tools that you can use in terms of mental management that keep you in the proper channels and don't allow your mind to wander. So you don't have to bring your mind back and say, don't think about that. We're here for this. This is what we came for. You don't need that pep talk, okay? Because you never go down that bad channel. You're always staying in these positive channels. And the thoughts come in like they do with anybody. Like when I meditate or when I get in the tank, people think you just go in there and you zen out. No, I start thinking about stupid shit. I start thinking about, God, I got to clean my fucking office. I'm such a slob. You know, like little things. You start thinking dumb shit. And,
all right, I'm writing this down.
But then you take them back in.
And mental coach.
I'm going to connect you to Vinny Shorman. Vinny Shorman's the guy that works with Joe Schilling. He works with Ian McCall. I've done 2 sessions with him. He's a hypnotist. Okay. But he's also a Muay Thai commentator and a coach, and he knows his shit, especially when it comes to striking. And I think you would get along with him just because of that.
All right.
But he's got some really. I've done 2 podcasts with him too. You can listen to the podcast. He makes some real legitimate points when it comes to understanding how the mind works, the tricks he can play on you, and how bad decisions from the past can fuck with you in terms of like bad things sort of define you. And you got to figure out a way to alleviate yourself from any responsibility.
Am I meeting with him before or after the DMT trip? Before.
Okay. We got to get ready.
So we're going to get ready?
We got to get ready, dude.
Okay.
You know, like when those astronauts go into space, bro, they don't just
Is Aubrey coming with? Is a 3-man gang?
Aubrey's going to do it.
All right.
Aubrey's the shaman. He's the one who's going to put on the whole thing. He plays the music. He plays these South American icaros that were recorded by him in the jungle. It goes deep.
Fuck.
It goes deep. But what I think, you know, and I think you're already coaching yourself by this, like reinventing yourself, right?
Right.
Reevaluating your diet, starting to add supplementation, taking care of yourself better, approaching things in a more professional way, cutting out the sparring, working entirely on drilling, and you're seeing all these results. Choosing to go to 170 and be healthier when you're fighting, you're seeing all these results. All these results are like this gravitation towards improvement and advancement. And I think that there's a thing that men have, and I'm guilty of it, we all are, where we don't want help. That's why women are always like, men don't want directions. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, I know where I'm going. You know?
Don't worry about it.
I mean, it's classic. My wife does it all the time. I know where I'm going. Sometimes I'm not even exactly sure.
Sure.
But what I know is I don't want to hear her tell me where I'm going. Because if I was just driving on my own, I'd figure it out. Like, it would be no problem. But when someone doesn't think you're figuring, it's like men have a real issue with being coached on things that could be potentially thought of as weaknesses.
Sure.
Like, men don't want to go to like a couples counseling and have some other dude tell you how to communicate better with your woman or your man, you know, whatever you're into.
Or your man.
Or gay guys go to counseling.
We can't go down that path. That's
Budweiser gets angry. Yeah. America, hold it up, America.
I got to pee because I drink too much America.
Kicking ass. Go ahead. Because I'm glad you left. I don't know what the fuck I was saying. I was going on about something completely preposterous. What was I saying?
Mind coach.
Oh, men do have a problem. A lot of us do with thinking that you are your mistakes, you are your faults, and you are your weaknesses. So they get branded into your system. And once these things get branded into your system, they're really difficult to shake, because you sort of define yourself not by the lessons you've learned from those experiences, and you being this conscious entity that's existing right now, not in a state of mistakes and of errors, but of life. You're living right now with information based on your past. And you can go forward from that and be like really positive and like go, wow, I'm glad I went through all those awful things, because I know that I could be a real twat, or I could be really retarded, or I could be really foolish or impulsive, and I could mess my whole life up. But I am this guy right now. If you don't like learn that, then you can go through this life going, hey, I don't give a fuck. This is me. This is who I am. And I don't want any coaching. I don't want any advice. But there's a bunch of other people that have gone through similar experiences. And you can call them coaches or just call them human beings with information. And there's people that have gone through a bunch of experiences that are real similar to the ones that you're going to go through or I'm going to go through. And these people, we're talking about learning from other men. That like learning shit about like weaknesses, like emotions, and about like fears and just your own mortality. You know, all those things are real issues. Men don't like learning them from other men, so you're like, I don't need that shit. You know, right? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
Gotta get back in the group, bro. You took the lead.
Back in the loop.
You reset.